Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Kevin, and this is a part 2, like kind of an update to my first video that I made, the how to get a 1550 plus on the SAT video, how I got a 1580. And this is like, I just want to make some refinements to what I said, and along with just like extra tips that I forgot to mention, just to help you guys get your best score on the test. And actually, before we begin, I want to mention that at the end of this video, I'm going to have the books that I use that helped me get that score. So you might want to stay tuned for that. And you should also follow me on Instagram, which is going to be here or here. And you should subscribe because I'm going to have more videos coming out in the future. Alright, so I just want to start off with saying that I am not the kind of person who would sacrifice like having a social life, having like sports, everything that matters to you just to like get a perfect score on a test. And I think I got basically like really like 20 points off from a perfect score, and I completely managed to just like live normally while I was studying. And this, I don't know if this may sound weird to you, this may sound completely normal, but I know people who have been like, they study for the SAT for literally since like grade 9, right, and they take it in grade 11. So like I don't see the point in studying for years for a test. In fact, I just see like, I think personally that if you're ready to get focused, and if you're ready to be like just concentrate on a single task, then it shouldn't take you more than a month or two to get prepared for this test. But that involves like focused time spent every single day. And in the long run, this is a better approach because A, you're not spending years or like several months just worrying about a test. So you kind of like save like more time in like the span of your entire life like that. And second of all, like you're more likely to be able to better retain skills that are necessary to do well on the test if like starting not a couple, but like a good number of weeks in advance, maybe 6 to 8 weeks before the test, you start really going at it. So like by the test date, you're gonna have like everything fresh in your head, and you're not gonna be scrambling to remember things that maybe you studied like months ago. So that's my first tip. Alright, now we're gonna get into the specific sections of the SAT. So like naturally the first one is the reading section, and like I mentioned this in my last video, but like I figure it's like the most important thing to repeat right now. Reading on the SAT, it's tricky, but like it's really manageable because like we understand, like we're not, unless you're in like grade 3, you probably understand what you're reading in the SAT, right? But the problems are that A, like the questions are like tripping you up, or B, you just don't have enough time to read all of them. And this comes down to the fact that like when we read passively. Like for example, like I always say, like on Instagram, like we just look at a caption and we just scroll by. Like we never like sit down to like kind of like really think about what we just read and deeply comprehend what we just read, along with all the little nuances about, you know, the text. So this can only be attained, this skill. The good part is that it can be attained by anyone. Anyone can learn how to read quickly and like completely grasp what they're reading. But the bad news, which isn't really that bad, is that you're gonna have to spend a lot of time actually reading. So like I wouldn't invest too much time in like not gimmicky, but like in websites that talk about like reading strategies and different reading tricks and tips, because like at the end of the day, it just comes to the fact that you have to read the passage and understand it, and this is a skill that can only be attained by reading lots of different pieces of text on lots of different subjects, because that's what the SAT tests, right? You're going to be reading history, sciences, like evolution, you're going to be reading fiction, and it's a whole bunch of different topics. So I'd recommend just starting to read different sources every single day and just like checking your comprehension as you go forward. Alright, and the next section is the writing section, and I find this section to be the easiest one to master because all you really gotta do is pick up like a book, and which I'm gonna have like at the end, like a bunch of them. You gotta pick up like a book or some sort of like instruction guide on the specific SAT subjects, the specific SAT grammar subjects that are gonna be tested on the test. So once you learn all the different grammar rules that are tested, and you just go back into practice tests and like you keep like seeing like which ones you're getting wrong, and then like if you're getting wrong, you're gonna look up the grammar rule and see like how it's applied there and like how you can learn from it. Like if you repeat this process, like you will surely be able to master that entire section, because it just comes down to the fact that you just got to learn some really fundamental grammar rules, and once you master them, then it's kind of like a tool under your belt. Like you're not going to get that kind of question wrong again. And then like once you master the SAT grammar, the really cool part is that it helps you if you're writing the SAT essay. Like it helps you on that part too, because then you learn to like write better, which will definitely increase your score there too. So like investing time in your SAT grammar is like a win-win situation for like a lot of the test parts. So do it. All right, and next up is the SAT math section. And this is like kind of my favorite topic to discuss, because I feel like a lot of people think they're not good at math, or like they kind of tell themselves that, you know, people are better than them at math. That's why they're getting like 800s on that section. And while I'm not gonna just lie to you and be like, no, like everyone's great at math, like there's definitely some truth to that. But the SAT math section in particular, like if you really think about it, it's grade 11, which is like junior level math, with some like a little bit of grade 12 or like senior concepts mixed in. So whether or not you're the greatest at math, it's definitely possible to master what's on the SAT alone. And this is only done in 2 ways. Well, not 2 ways, but like this is done in 2 methods that you need to combine. I probably could have said that better, but what it entails is, first you gotta get like either a book, and like of course I'm gonna have them at the end, that explains just the different SAT math sections that are gonna be on the test. And while you're gonna just study that book and learn fundamental math concepts, they're really meaningless, they're really worthless if you don't go ahead and practice. So practicing math is like the easiest way to just like be able to master it, because once you go in and on the math section and do like a bunch of practice tests, either from like practice books or online, you're gonna be able to just find questions that you don't know how to answer. And because the SAT repeats questions, like once you start like learning all the questions you don't know, and like you build a list of them in like a notebook and you write down the answers, like if you keep reviewing that, you'll see that the same answers are gonna pop up multiple times. So if you give yourself enough time to study for this test, you're literally gonna have every single question type you don't know written down, and then you're gonna know it. So there's literally like, it's almost like a foolproof method of like just killing this section. Like all you gotta do, learn the concepts and do so many practice tests until like there's no question you don't know how to do. And that's basically it. Alright, and that's basically it for the SAT and its different components, right? Like we covered reading, writing, and math. In terms of the timing, like you always want to have a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes left before the end of each section. And especially in math, where like you can kind of like make a mistake, like careless mistakes, you actually want to have like around 30 to 40% of the allotted time left, just so you can go back and check every single, or like try to check every single question you either found tricky, or like every single question in total, because like you don't want to make a mistake in that section. That is like one like test taking tip that I have. The other one like comes down to the scenario that a lot of people have, where you're like kind of picking between 2 different answer choices that you think might be right. And like that happens to all of us. Like there's 2 questions, there's 2 answer choices that might be right. But like here's where the SAT is like different from like a high school test. Like the College Board, which is the company that administers the test, they have to make sure that like no one's going to be complaining about the test, right? So they have to make sure that every single answer is 100% unambiguous and like 100% right, which means that every other answer is like 100%. There's something in there that makes it wrong. So like try to pick apart every single answer and see like, why could this be wrong? And then in the end, you're gonna just see which one seems the most right to you, or even if it doesn't seem right, which one doesn't have anything that's wrong in it, right? One may not like make too much sense to you, but like, especially in the reading section, like if it doesn't make too much sense to you, but like all the other answer choices like have something like dead wrong in them, then you probably just reach your answer. So give that a try as well. Alright, and now we should probably get talking about the books. So like I'm a big book guy because I figure out like the best way for me to study is just like to sit down by myself and figure out what's really going on. And like a lot of people can relate to that. So the books that I use, like first of all, I use the blue book from the college board, right, which has the 8 official SAT practice tests. And this is the most important book because like the review is kind of whatever of the concepts, but really the practice tests are the golden material because you want to be doing the real practice tests, which are as real to the test as possible. Because you know it's administered. The book's made by the company that makes the SAT, so that's a like really important book to get. For additional practice tests, I use the Princeton Review book that has like a bunch of practice tests in it, and I just like tear those practice tests apart. Every answer I get wrong, I like keep it in a notebook, especially in math, and I look back on it before taking another test. And for reading, I didn't use anything. I just used those practice books. For writing, however, I use this College Panda Writing book, which helped me a lot on the writing section because it kind of explained like every single writing topic for me. And on the math, I also used another book by College Panda, which also like explained every single math concept. And they had like okay practice tests, like they weren't the best, which is why like I referred back to the 2 first books for practice tests. But I also found like for the math section, the Princeton Review Math practice book helped so much in giving me like a bunch of realistic practice questions to work with. And that was about it. Those were like my main books that I used to study for the SAT. And also like I've made like different videos, like I'm gonna pop them up right here, that's why my hands are up. And I made them like on different topics of the test, so you guys might want to check that out as well. Alright, and that's basically it for the video. I want to thank you guys for watching my videos and giving me this little hobby I can do on my weekends, which is like super cool. And other than like subscribing or following my Instagram, I want you guys to make sure in the comments just leave video suggestions. Leave like ideas on like what you see me doing on my channel, because those are super helpful and I'm super down to make more videos because you guys really deserve it. Alright, and I wish you guys best of luck on your test. Later.